Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about eGPUs in 2018, what I think of them, my thoughts on this specific eGPU, and pretty much everything in between. I'm even going to talk about how to save your marriage or relationship if it's going down the tubes. I'm Scott with Techno Eclipse, and I will see you right now. How about that? No intro today. In front of me here is an external graphics card enclosure. There is no graphics card inside of here. My graphics card that I'm going to be using is 17 hours away back in Ohio. This specific eGPU enclosure is the Akitio node. This is one of the best eGPU enclosures if you're going to be using this on a MacBook Pro. This is rated as one of the best from EGPU.io. I'll leave that link down below. That's a great website with a million different things to learn about eGPU, stuff you never think you'd ever want to learn, but they have it on there. That's what's great about the internet, right? So this specific eGPU cost me $150. I'll show that on the screen here. I found it used locally, which is, I think, relatively rare from what I've looked up. Actually, there was some guy who's selling it for me about 20 minutes away, and he was the only guy within 200 miles on Craigslist, Facebook, or OfferUp that was selling an external graphics card box. So I think I got relatively lucky on this. But again, if you're patient and diligent, somebody will be selling one around you somewhere. So I can give you a quick little review on this thing. I haven't been able to use it yet, so I can't give you performance reviews. That's coming in a video later, but I don't really need the performance to tell you my thoughts. This thing is such a pain in the butt to get out. They did not think this thing through. Why is there a handle on the back? That's so loud, I bet. If you can't pull it out the back, so you just basically you push it up front like that. It makes the world's worst noise. Bangs into the microphone falls off the table. Oh. Okay, so right here's a PCIe slot. Plug in the graphics card. It's got two 8-pin connectors. It supports up to 375 watts of power to the graphics card. That should be plenty for any graphics card you put inside of it. And obviously with Nvidia releasing their new Turing-based cards, it's kind of an exciting time for graphics cards, although those are quite expensive, and I would probably just suggest looking at a 1080 or 1080 Ti used locally. You'll be able to find those for much cheaper, because those new cards are $1,200 for the 2080 Ti. So I would definitely not lean towards those, especially until you find you get some benchmarks and stuff on it. But this also came with a power cable, a simple 3-pin adapter, and a USB Type-C Thunderbolt enabled cable. This is really important. If you want to have one of these, you need to get a Thunderbolt enabled cable. The smaller the cable, the better. Actually, you can get better performance with a 0.5 meter cable as opposed to like a 2 meter cable. So if you're looking for one of these, a shorter cable will actually give you better performance in the long run, which is kind of weird, and that's like something I'm going to talk about with these. So let me get this out of the way. So what are the positives to an eGPU setup? Positives are you can just have one computer. You don't need to have a laptop and then a desktop as well. You can actually do everything on the laptop. Video edit, especially with an eGPU, that'll help your performance. And then gaming, obviously, a graphics card will help everything. And just in general, the smoothness and power you'll get from the graphics card is great. Another positive is the fact that it's still going to be a portable setup. This thing is rather large. I'll be the first to admit that, but it's smaller than pretty much any desktop computer like ever that could game. So you could theoretically bring this along in a suitcase. It's not the most viable option. I'll be the first to admit that. But the great thing is if you don't want to bring this, you could still bring your computer, such as this one back here, and it's no big deal. You don't need a monitor. You don't need to bring a huge bulky EATX case or ATX case that's the size of like this. I mean, at the end of the day, you can actually bring this from place to place to place. For somebody like me, that's actually really important. Another positive is that it allows computers that weren't really meant for gaming to game. So for example, you could get a laptop that doesn't have a dedicated graphics card, just an Ultrabook that has a 8th gen Intel CPU in it that's got a quad-core processor, and you can plug in an eGPU, and if this cat jumps up here, I'm going to slap him down. And you can actually add in a very powerful graphics card, plug it into an external monitor, and then you'll be good to go. So what that means is you don't have to focus on buying a laptop that's got like a GTX 1080 inside of it, or it's got a 1070 or a 1060 or something. You can save money actually on your laptop. Buy one that's got a better CPU inside of it. You can look for an older laptop that's got a 6th or 7th gen 6700 HQ or 7700 HQ, and you can actually save a good deal of money on those. Still have all of the benefits of that computer because it's got a quad-core processor inside of it. Plug in an eGPU, and then bang, you're gaming. Granted, you can only game in a specific setting. You can only game when you're at home on your desk. But for somebody like me, it's not a big deal. I don't really game that much anyways, and I'm really doing this for the performance boost on video editing, and I'm also doing it for a little bit of gaming, I'm not gonna lie. But that's a great positive because you don't have to invest the money up front right away. You could get that Ultrabook or whatever with that's super slim, super sleek, super portable, and you can just focus on having a powerful CPU and almost no graphics card or a super weak graphics card like an MX 150, which is more powerful than pretty much any graphics card in any MacBook. I'm just joking. But that would allow you to save some money there, plug in an eGPU, and bang, you're good to go, and you actually have a gaming setup, a viable gaming setup that can probably, if you get a powerful enough graphics card, game at 4K. That's great. So those are the positives to this. There are definitely positives. You could save money if you can find an older Thunderbolt 3 enabled device like an XPS. Those are like $600-700. XPS 15, $95.50. Those are like $600-700 now, and that has Thunderbolt 3. So for $600-700, you could get that laptop, and it also already has a dedicated graphics card, the GTX 965M, and that's capable to play enough games on the go. And then when you get home, you plug in your eGPU, and then you're gaming in 4K instead of just 1080p or like 1600 by 900, which is excellent. It gives you that mobility with performance and just no real sacrifices anywhere, and you can actually save some money if you find one as cheap as I did. But unfortunately, they're not always as cheap as I find them. And that's where we go into the negatives. So this eGPU I found is an Akitio Node Thunder 3. It goes for, I think, $250 on Amazon right now. They're normally $300. But the problem is you're not always going to be able to find them as cheap as I find them. And a lot of the cheaper ones that you can find have really poor power supplies. They can't supply more than 200 watts or 220 watts. And for some graphics cards, like an older GTX 780, its TDP is 250 watts. And not everyone's going to be using that old of a graphics card, but that's just an example. You need a power supply that can supply enough power and have enough headway that you can actually be comfortable using your graphics card. It's not going to short anything. It's not going to just turn off or anything like that. So there's that problem. It does cost kind of a lot of money. Another negative is the eGPU doesn't do anything other than allows you to use a graphics card. So you can buy an eGPU, but you still have to buy a graphics card. So it's not just like an all-in-one solution. There are all-in-one solutions like the Blackmagic from Apple. That's $700. If you buy that, please don't. Do me a favor, and if you buy that, return it, and then just make your own with a GTX 1080, because you could probably do that same setup for cheaper. But for the most part, you have to buy the eGPU, plug in your own graphics card, and then hook it all up. So unfortunately, what that means is most of the time for some of the nicer ones, $400 or $500 ones, you can build a computer with a power supply, RAM, CPU, motherboard, and case that's going to be much cheaper or equivalent to that, and then you can throw in the graphics card and you'll be better off. And that doesn't include the cost of the laptop itself. So if you think about it in terms of that, if you include the cost of the laptop with the eGPU and the GPU, it blows it out of the water. For example, this computer was $600, eGPU 150. The GPU I'm looking at is going to be about $150, so that's $900 right there. And $900 can get you probably an 8600K, 16 gigs of RAM, 1070, maybe even a 1080 if you're lucky. A power supply, SSD, everything, all inclusive case, and maybe a monitor. I'm not including the monitor though. That's the issue. Obviously that's not portable, but for the cost, you can build a way better gaming computer, but that's always a case with a laptop. But when you include the eGPU, just that extra cost, you do definitely add in an extra cost. And another problem is that you don't get the full performance of the card. With Thunderbolt 2, you really don't get the full performance of the card. You lose about 30%. You get about 70% of the performance. 30% is a definite dip. It's still a lot more performance than the GT 750M that I have inside of my MacBook Pro right now. So should you buy an eGPU in 2018? It depends. You need to think about what you want. If you're somebody who wants a MacBook Pro, and you also want a game, this guy right here, the cat is sleeping, it's so cute. You're going to want to get an eGPU. It's the only solution. There's no MacBook Pro that can feasibly game well, even with the newest RX 560X inside of them. Those are just not good enough to game. You're going to want to get an eGPU. You have Thunderbolt 3. And the good news is that the GPUs are going down in price, and eGPUs are also going down in price. But again, it's just an extra cost. It's an extra cost. It's oh, you get this, but then if you want to do this, you have to buy this and this. So for a lot of people, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'll be the first to admit it's kind of a dumb thing. But if you can find one as cheap as I did, 150 bucks, it's almost a no-brainer in my opinion if you have a Thunderbolt 3 or even a Thunderbolt 2 enabled laptop, because just the performance gain you'll get is so substantial that it's almost a no-brainer. But if you find one for more than that, it's tough. It's tough to justify $300 or $400 just for the ability to use a graphics card. Not even, that doesn't include the graphics card. So obviously it's a very niche market, but it's definitely something cool and something that I'm excited to use and excited to start playing with. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you like looking at my cat's butt? Is he cute? And Stitch, are you cute? Alright, so thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Thank you everyone who joined me in the live stream last night. Obviously, it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. Live streams are at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're always on Sunday. So thank you again for watching. This has been Scott with Techno Eclipse. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.